Good evening, everyone. Let's
Good evening.
Yes, good evening. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. So
Very well.
let's start our class for today, which is national buyer sourcing. So when we are done with our class, I'll leave a time for question and answers, so I can answer whatever question that we have at the end. So, when it comes to sourcing for buyers now, it's a very important skill, or it's something that we must all learn how to do because, like I've been saying in the previous classes, that when you are in the business and you don't have a buyer, then there is no transaction, nothing is happening. That's what it means. So we now have to consider looking into how to get buyers in every way that we can. And okay, so in exports, sourcing for buyers can come to you as maybe as a result of your own work, personal work ethic. You are doing some personal searching for buyers, and it can be like as a result of network, maybe your connection, someone referred you, or someone got your website, online, checked what you are doing, checked that you can export this commodity, and the person starts to communicate with you. So that can be like the various ways that a buyer can actually come up, or we'll still look into some that I'm going to explain how to use some platforms and how to use some tools for this class. So buyer sourcing is an important skill that you must acquire for your export business. So if there's no buyer, there's no transaction, and sourcing for buyers is an everyday work, just like in other careers. So because the reason why I mentioned this is I've seen several type of exporters, several type of people who maybe do some stints in the business for like a week, for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and their mind is off it. So this is something that you must have the mindset that you are going to be doing for a while, for a long period of time, for you to actually actualize the results that you want. In some cases, it might be fast. You might get what you are searching for. You might acquire that easily, and in some cases, it might take you some time. Meanwhile, if you are the one who really doesn't mind, spending money, putting your money into you getting buyers and all that, you might have to spend maybe like your own money into sourcing for buyers. And if you like, you might do it on the free platform, or you just using the normal tools that are available to everyone. Both sides are effective. So there is no side that is not good. If you are using your money, it's fine. So as much as you get the contracts that you are looking for, the buyer that you're actually searching for. So like I explained yesterday about what some of the things to look out for in your export contracts, most especially the pricing and your profits, making sure that you don't maybe like cut on the markup that you are supposed to put on the pricing because of volume or because of other conditions that the buyer might have, presented to you. So once you are aware of all that, it's very easy for you to now know that, okay, if I'm paying to get a contract, then I know the right thing to get. I know the right thing that I want to see in my export contract. So we've had situations whereby maybe as people bought contracts from some people, and maybe at the end of the day the contract wasn't that solid. Maybe it wasn't profitable, or maybe the money that you'll be getting from it, you can't even use it to execute the contract. So those are some pitfalls that you have to look out for, as I explained yesterday. So you trying to get a buyer now, it comes as something that, okay, if these are the list of things that I must do that will, make an importer or a buyer or a company or a factory to be interested in the commodity that I export, so that they can reach out to you and communicate with you. Then both of you can have a discussion. You can send them your quotes, and then you can negotiate, and either of you can send the export contract to the other person. So it needs a lot of patience and consistency. So if by the time we are done with this class, you have some idea of the things that you are expected to do to actually search for buyers. So the next thing will now be, how consistent are you in doing these things? How consistent are you? Is this something that you can be doing every day consistently, maybe for a month, for 2 months, for 3 months, for 5 months, for 6 months, for a year? So then, you have to be able to persist to make sure that even if you don't get a profitable contract, maybe some contracts come your way, but they are not profitable. But maybe you weren't able to get a profitable contract like in your first 3 months, your first 6 months, you have to still make sure that you are still carrying out what you are supposed to do. Like if you look at our platforms, our AGX Africa platforms, AGX platforms, you will see like some different things that we do from day to day, posting commodities, talking about suppliers, trying to get buyers and all that. So all those things doesn't mean it's every day we actually get response to them, or we get positive response to them, or even maybe like the people who responded or who communicated with us, it doesn't mean we actually conclude or we have something to execute at the end of the day. So this is something that you need to be aware of, that you have to be, know how it works. So so buyer sourcing can come to you as a business. It can be an independent business that you actually provide to other people as a service. So it can be something that, okay, I have some series of contracts and I want to sell it to, interested exporters. I opened a contract. I opened a contract that I want to show us just now. Okay, if you look at this contract, for instance, I don't want to show the buyer detail for maybe privacy reasons. Okay, so but the seller, you can see the name of our company, that's AGX Africa Limited. Details are there. So look at it, it's a copper contract. It's a copper contract, and we are supposed to supply like some tons of copper to a company in China. So now this kind of export contract was given to me by a friend. Now this my friend has lots of this type of contracts. This type of contract that should, in case I want to buy, or maybe someone wants.
Sorry, sir. Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
We can see
Yes.
the contract. The
Okay,
contract
you didn't
screen.
see the contract I just showed now.
Yes, sir.
Ah, wow. Can you see the screen I'm sharing now?
Yes, I can see buyer sourcing as a business,
Okay,
but can't
all
find
right.
that contract.
Okay, let me put that out again.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Okay, yes. Can you see this? I hope we can all see this. Okay, all right. So this is a contract. This is like, you know, an example of a contract. This is a Chinese company that sent this contract to us like earlier this year. So now what I'm trying to say is that you as an individual can actually, you know, get this type of contract. Like you can have like 10 of it, you can have like 20 of it, but you are selling it to interested exporters. So you are giving it to interested exporters that actually wants to buy the contract from you. So maybe you are selling it 150,000, 500,000, 1 million naira, depending on the price, the profit, and the continuity of the contract. So let's say maybe the person who wants to buy the contract from you knows that this export contract or the commodity price in the market should not be more than maybe $1,000. But on the contract, he's seeing $2,000, so he knows he's making good profit from it. Then the continuity of the contract. Let's say maybe the contract is to run for a year, is to run for 6 months, is to run for maybe 2 months, or it's just a one-off shipment that you are going to make, or maybe it's for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. So depending on the type of contract will determine how expensive or how much your interested person that wants to buy the contract from you will pay you for such a thing. So sometimes you might not necessarily be the one to execute your export contract. So that's the most important thing. That's the most important thing that you have to understand. So there could be sometimes, okay, maybe because of your knowledge of sourcing for buyers, you've been able to source for buyers, you've gotten you know, companies, individuals that need a particular commodity over here, maybe cocoa beans, might be shea butter, might be cocoa butter, might be soybeans, might be maize, or, you know, any commodity in Nigeria. Now, to finance that contract, it will take maybe 5 million, maybe 10 million, maybe 20 million, maybe 50 million naira. So you are now looking at it, okay, instead of this contract just sitting here, what can I do? Or you know, what can I do to it so that it won't just waste? So one of the things you can do is to find someone who is interested in that contract to buy it from you, either to buy, or the person is going to execute the contract and give you, you know, commission when he's paid. So depending on your agreement. So I have companies that's just what they do. They earn just from commissions, just from sourcing export contracts and giving it out to those that execute it, and give them their commission, maybe like 5%, like 10%. So there was a time we used to run programs that we call international buyer sourcing certification, where the mainstay of what we teach is, okay, how do you run a business of sourcing for export contracts, so that even if as a young graduate, or maybe you are out there as a startup entrepreneur, or maybe you are just, entering or breaking into the export market and you don't have the necessary capital or the necessary finance for your contract. Okay, does that mean you still can make money from the business? So you can actually be sourcing this contract and be getting commissions on them and get paid on it when you give it to another person to execute. So it's now be a matter of, okay, maybe the person needs a letter of credit. The buyer who is giving the export contract directs the LC to the name of the company of the person who is buying the contract from you, and you are paid for it. So independently, buyer sourcing can serve as a business on its own. It can serve as a business on its own. Export contracts are things that you can sell to interested investors, to interested individuals or companies. So you can target some companies around here that that, okay, what they produce is actually needed as maybe raw material by some other company elsewhere, or as feedstock, like grade B raw material. Maybe they are using it to feed livestock, or they are using it to feed maybe some of their production line. So that's another way to actually look at it. So you present your idea to the company and let them know, okay, you have this contract that they can work with and they can make profits from. So, and there is no company that will shy away from international exposure, from them, sending out maybe commodity or maybe finished product, semi-finished product, or raw material that way out of the country. And you can also earn commissions on them. So like I was saying yesterday about not limiting yourself to the shores of Nigeria, that's why we call it international trade. So you might find yourself in platforms where you can deal with someone who is actually out of the country, who is not in Nigeria. Maybe the person is in Tanzania, for instance, maybe Brazil, for instance. If you are dealing in soybeans, you want the cheapest type of soybean, your best bet is to find an agent that will work with you in Brazil. So if you are dealing in maybe processed cashew nuts, your best bet is Tanzania, who have it a lot in abundance. You can also look into maybe some other African countries around that area. So you don't have any limitation to also how you can work around your export contract or the person or the company buying from you, that is buying from you. So buyer sourcing can be done as a business. You can make it your day-to-day business. And at the same time, it can be, it's something you can do as an exporter. So that means what you are searching for, it's something that you want to execute. You are not wasting your time or your energy into just sourcing for export contracts for any commodity. So you are streamlined and focused on your a commodity of your choice. I said, I think in our first class, that you should try to streamline the commodity that you are going to work with. So it could be maize, it could be soybean, or it could be maybe like whatever commodity that it's actually in the season, that is abundant in the market, that you can get in the market. So if you are sourcing for buyers as an exporter, you just focus on the commodity that you know best, maybe how to produce, or maybe that you have the best knowledge of. For instance, some of my students have their company produces shea butter. That's what they do. I think they're in Ibadan. Yeah, they're in Ibadan. The company is located in Ibadan. I also have another one. Their company is located in Oyo or the Ibadan. One is actually like the major producer for export for export, while I think the one in Oyo makes finished product from shea butter. So now I've mentioned SEO in our classes. SEO that stands for soft corporate offers. So we had to design an SEO that will just fit into the purpose of, getting an importer or getting a company that will buy their shea butter. So that's the only thing the company does, and that's the only thing they send out. So all the list of the prospective importers that they have, the list of companies that they want to export to, that they want to do business with, that they want to, that they are marketing to. Every one of them is interested. Every one of them is only interested in shea butter and nothing else, So as an exporter, you can either source for export contracts or buy them. Like I said earlier, you can choose to buy and choose to source using the tools that are out there. This is dependent on how fast you want to do the business. So I've met students that, they have the money to spend, they have the money to, quickly go out for contracts, push contracts, execute contracts, and get the work done like as soon as possible. Meanwhile, there are some people that maybe they are just fresh out of school, but just looking at the export opportunity or the export market and how to break into it also. So they have to use the basic tools that are out there that they can use. Then, and sourcing by yourself requires consistency and lots of patience. So it really requires that you are consistent in, if you are going by your SEO, you are consistent in it. If you are going by whatever commodity is out there, you are consistent in it, so that over time you start getting profit from the work that you've done in promoting your brand or your name or whatever that you are actually putting out there that people know you as. So because at the first stage, it might look like maybe people don't really know your company or what you are doing out there. Then there'll be a particular time when you just wake up and you have offers on your lap, and there are different offers for you to work with. Then at another stage, you'll be the one streamlining the commodities that you have to work with. So if your commodity is not in season, if it's something that is seasonal, that means you have to wait till when it's in season again, then you work, you make your money, you wait again till the next season. Like there are some exporters that they don't do anything maybe other than cashew nuts, for instance. So like now, for some time, since we've been out of the season and there hasn't been trade going on, they've been having fun. They've been trying to look at prospecting to the next trading season, how it's going to work, how much they are going to make, how can they raise necessary finance to actually finance the trade contracts that they'll be getting. So most of them right now, because we'll soon get into that trade season now, they are preparing their warehouse, making sure everywhere is prepared for what's coming. So if you're in that category, after the trade season and all that, it looks like, okay, you have a time to rest again for the next season. Meanwhile, if what you are actually looking into going into is not seasonal, maybe it's something that is continuous, then you just keep working. Or if it's maybe different commodities, you just keep working on them. So the consistency is something that even if you are not making the profits of your export contract now, or you are not getting the kind of export contract that you expect or that you want, it doesn't stop you from making sure that your everyday task is done in trying to source or trying to get buyers for your product or for your commodity. So okay, like if you by the time, because one thing as an exporter you must understand is by the time you get like maybe your first export contract, it will shoot you up to a level that okay, you are able to use that experience to market your next contract or to market your next prospective importer. So because like when I was still exporting charcoal, for instance, when I was still exporting charcoal, the first set of contracts that I worked on were from Apapa to China to Guangzhou or something in China. So now the experience, the pictures we took, the videos we made, the contracts, the invoice, the bill of lading, and all that were all things that made up, the next set of offers that we start offering prospective importers. So most of the time, when you are talking to maybe a prospective importer, he might be asking you for your business card, might ask you for your previous bill of lading, might ask you for your test sample or maybe quality test sample, those kind of things. So just to know that you know what you are talking about as an exporter, or just to ask you so that he'll be sure that if I raise an LC for this person, a letter of credit for you as an exporter, are you actually going to be able to execute the contract, or you just waste his time? So they ask a lot of questions which you have to know how to answer, to give answers to it. So sometimes before I started exporting and all that, I used to use other people's documents, so I might just start up a colleague and let them ask for, do you have so test sample for so, maybe for charcoal, maybe for a metal, maybe for zinc, maybe for manganese, maybe for lithium, So all those test samples are done by maybe some other organizations like SGS, like FIRO and Co. So you need to like understand what they need for you to be able to get this contract from them. So because it's when you're able to convince someone that wants to give you the contract, that the person will now go ahead signing a contract with you then before trying to work or to raise a letter of credit on your behalf. So how do you source for buyers? Now, you can source for export buyers through offline channels and online channels. So I'm taking you through the free mode that you don't have to pay for. So these are the tools or the ways that are actually out there that you can use to get buyers anytime. So the first we'll be looking at will be the offline. So now the offline means to sourcing for buyers or to searching for export buyers is can't see current slide. Can we all see the slide?
No.
Okay. Can we see the slide now?
Yes.
Okay. So for this offline channel, it's basically traveling. The more you can travel, like maybe to other countries or to other parts of the world, to make sure that you get to meet one-on-one with a business partner over there, the more the person or the company will trust or place their trust in your hands. Just like when we were talking about the local commodities trade and supply, that sometimes you have to travel down to the north, familiarize yourself with the merchants, with the market executive. Maybe this market, for instance, they have an association. You try to get to know the chairman, the president, the executive, so that by the time you come back to the south or wherever you are living, and you have a contract to work with, you can easily just call them. They know you, you know them, you guys have met. So it also works that same way with when you are sourcing for importers, that you might travel if you can, if you are the type who goes on vacation, who travels to other countries. So it won't just be like a fun vacation alone, but business vacation. So you can also use that opportunity to meet with procurement officers and purchase managers in the country that, or maybe the company that you're actually looking at. So you can use that as an opportunity to make business happen. So sometimes you can even have your sample with you, like sample of the commodity you are trying to sell them. Like if it's cocoa, for instance, you can have sample of your cocoa beans and a test report of the analysis of the beans. So if it's maybe cashew nuts that you have with you, you can also have like a test sample result and all with you that you can show, to let the person understand that you have the best quality, and you can give them exactly what they want, like the specification that they want to buy, So then exhibition is also another way that you can use to source for buyers offline. So there are several exhibitions that happen in Nigeria, in Lagos, in different states on agricultural commodities and mining, which is for metals. So, and there'll be different companies that will come around, maybe from Nigeria, can be from Asia, can be from other continents of the world, that you can actually showcase what you package and what you want to export for them to see and have a discussion and talk to them about. And you can also attend conferences in Africa, like in Nigeria and around West African countries, East and Central African countries. You can take the opportunity to attend conferences where you can actually meet people that come from maybe Asian side of the world or from Europe, that you can meet with to tell them about so commodity that you actually have that is produced in your own country. Like I think this month there's a conference coming up on cashew nuts, like an African Alliance conference. Last month there was another conference like that on commodities financing, somewhere in maybe Tanzania or one of these East African countries. So those kind of conferences, you can look into it, you can look at them. It's strategic enough to help position your company or your business to getting a profitable contract. And when you meet people who are in position of authority like that, that they can actually just sign off a contract for you, they don't ask too much question, because the platform on which both of you met actually speaks volume for you. So it's easy to just trust you and say, oh, we can do business with this person. Raise a letter of credit for their company, and they sign and all that. So it will now be dependent on you to making sure that you deliver as agreed on your contract. So okay, the first part of this class will be ending soon. just join with the same password, because I'll start the class immediately too. So the next is business tourism. If you're also traveling, just like the travel and vacation, you just use that opportunity to make sure that you talk to manufacturers, producers in the country that you travel to or that you are traveling to. So last but not the least is traditional adverts in the importer's country. So for this traditional advert in the importer's country is dependent on if you have the finance for it, if you have the money to actually pay for that kind of